Among the record number of migrants crossing the southern border was a member of an Afghan terror organization who was released into the U.S. by border agents, according to U.S. officials. 48-year-old Mohammed Harwan illegally crossed into California in March of last year. His name is on a U.S. terror watch list, identifying him as a member of HIG, a terror group that's killed Americans in Afghanistan.
That NBC report that you just watched a clip of dates back to April 11th of this year. And of course, it has to do with someone on the terrorist watch list making it across the border into the United States. Now the Biden administration is attempting to close the loophole in the immigration system that allowed this individual to enter the country despite posing a threat to public safety. Now, before we get to the changes that Biden is making, here's more of NBC's investigation.
Border agents suspected he was on the watch list at the time of his apprehension, but lacked corroborating information, according to U.S. officials. CBP released him without contacting the FBI or Immigration and Customs Enforcement, those officials told us. Harwan was allowed to apply for work authorization and board planes in the U.S., according to those officials. After almost a year, ICE arrested him here in San Antonio. When he went to court, U.S. officials tell us, ICE officials withheld classified information about his terrorism ties. A judge ordered him released on $12,000 bond, which he posted and was freed last month. Harwan's case appears to be just one of at least 3 incidents in the past 2 years involving suspected terrorists being released by Customs and Border Protection, according to the DHS Inspector General and Congress.
So let's break this down a little further, okay? So he did end up getting apprehended, okay? So that's good news. However, Border Patrols claim that they lack the biometric information connecting him to the terror watch list and therefore let him go. Within hours of the NBC report being released, the man was arrested again in San Antonio. Now, of course, let me just state this because this is important. Not every migrant that crosses the border is a threat to public safety, as we know that. In fact, the percentage of migrants on the terror watch list is tiny, making up just 0.02% of CBP apprehensions under Biden and 0.05% under Trump. Now, before I give you more details on what Biden is attempting to do to close this loophole so this incident doesn't occur again with other individuals crossing the border, Cenk, what do you think about the fact that we're just now learning about these loopholes?
Pausing here to deliver some honest truth as we do in our news coverage as well. TYT is facing challenges, guys, as the entire industry is. You know who could make the difference? You. If you hit the join button below, it's gonna make all the difference and keep us in business. We appreciate you, thank you. I get it, they're saying that we didn't wanna share the classified information because we might be working on it. But you can share it with a judge and then decide whether you're gonna go forward or not if it's in the middle of an active investigation and you're tracking him for different reasons. Okay, but you and the judge can decide that. But it's a different thing not to share it with the judge at all. And just to say anyone who's on the terrorist watch list, we're not going to tell you. That's an obviously bad idea. It was left over from 2004, so it's not like Biden did it or Trump did it. It's been around for a long time and Biden is looking to fix it, so I'll take it. But guys, the terrorism watch list it's kind of a joke because it's not that there aren't actual terrorists on there. There definitely are, but it depends on your politics whether anybody cares or doesn't care. So you know that people on the terrorist watch list can buy guns in America because the NRA has that much power. So that guy can get out of when he was out of jail, he could legally buy a gun, even if they know he's on the terrorist watch list because the NRA bribes the Republican Party.
Correct. Yeah.
So and when they complain, oh, terrorists. No, the Republicans don't care at all about the terrorists. In fact, they're willing to give them weapons here in America.
Well, they don't care about the individual being a suspected terrorist if gun manufacturers can sell weapons to that person.
Of course,
right?
Because if the terrorist takes action,
right,
then more people are gonna buy guns to protect themselves. All right, one more thing about this though, in particular. Most of the terrorists that come in that do actual violence here in America, which is not a huge list, but it's a list we're very concerned about, right? Most of them did not come in through the border. They come in legally with tourist visas, etc. They overstay their visa and then commit to violence.
That is true, but do you get the sense that Biden doesn't seem to have control of anything domestically? Do you get what I'm saying?
Yeah, but I mean, look, that's the thing. The upside of Biden versus Trump was at least Biden comes in with an infrastructure of capable people who can actually keep the government going, right?
Did he?
But now you look around and you go, did he? Right? So a lot of things falling apart at the seams. I mean, Biden appears barely cognizant of a lot of things that are happening. So, okay, look, they caught this because of NBC News, and I often criticize mainstream media, but good job, NBC News,
for a good report,
for catching this, and it made a difference, and now they're gonna fix the loophole. But yeah, I mean, Anna's point is best on immigration because Biden never came up with a plan. He said, oh, Kamala, why don't you do it? She never came up with a plan. And then at the end, they panicked and adopted Trump's plan, which is a double loss.
Right.
Because you didn't have a plan of your own and things became much worse. And at the end, you begged Trump to institute his plan. It's just the worst optics and the worst policy you could possibly do.
Yeah, and look, let's be fair to Biden. Biden put out a plan, I mean, a few years ago, but didn't actually fight to implement that plan because it's something that would need to be carried out through legislation, through Congress.
But Biden literally doesn't fight to implement anything.
Yeah,
right.
No, that's 100% right. So look, it's cool that you wrote your blog post on the White House website about what you'd like to do about immigration. Now, what are you going to do about actually getting that policy implemented? And he did nothing. And you're right, he sat around doing nothing about immigration until there was a massive influx of migrants seeking asylum at the border. It became a political liability, and he urged Republicans in the Senate to pass legislation, which they did in a bipartisan fashion, but it was a giant handout to what the right wing in this country wants in terms of immigration. They ended up squashing the bill after Trump said he wants to run on immigration, but you get the point. So let's talk about what the Biden administration is now doing in regard to this loophole, which allowed for someone on the terror watch list to enter the country and even seek a worker's visa. So what Biden wants to do is give immigration judges and asylum officers more access to classified information to basically help them determine whether or not migrants have any ties to terrorism. The new policy, announced in a May 9th memo from Department of Homeland Security Secretary Alejandro Mayorkas, overrides a 2004 directive that said classified information could only be used in immigration proceedings as a last resort. Now, under the old policy, asylum officers making an initial determination about an immigrant's eligibility to pursue an asylum claim and prosecutors presenting a case for deportation in immigration court had to get approval from the DHS secretary to share classified information. But the new memo instructs those employees to go to the head of their individual agency, like ICE or US Citizenship and Immigration Services, for approval instead, making it easier for them to obtain the critical information necessary to make these determinations. The administration is also considering allowing more employees to obtain security clearances. So that is what he is planning to do. Now, news of this change comes at a time when illegal crossings at the southern border are down more than 50% compared to December. But let me just note, the amount in December was insanely high. We had 250,000 illegal crossings in December alone. Another 500, 500, wait. So there was 250,000 and then another 50,000 tried to seek asylum. So those were not illegal crossings, but the vast majority of them were. Now, during the first 21 days of May, US Border Patrol agents recorded a daily average of approximately 3,700 apprehensions of migrants between official ports of entry. That represents a 54% decrease from the 8,000 daily average in December, when illegal entry soared to 250,000, an all-time high. By the way, this is happening when American citizens can't find any housing because we have a severe housing shortage, but thousands of people entering the country every single day apparently is no problem, and we're just going to continue moving along with a broken immigration system. Great.
So look, everybody roughly knows what the right immigration policy is. And this is the same thing with the Israel and Palestine peace deal. It's sitting on a shelf. Everybody knows the contours of the deal already. They just don't want to make the deal, right? So in this case, in immigration, we know that there has to be some pathway to citizenship at some point. I mean, in the past, they discussed 14 years, which is twice as long as indentured servitude took. And then the Republicans said, no, 14 years isn't enough. What do you want them to work for 50 years?
Isn't enough? That's insane.
I mean, 21 years, 40 years? When is it ever going to be enough, right? And then in this latest round, send in more judges to go through the asylum cases quicker, and people didn't get deported afterwards because most of them do not succeed in their asylum cases. More guards to catch more people crossing illegally.
Right.
And the Republicans took their own plan and voted no because Trump told them to. So Biden's sitting on his ass. Trump is ordering people to sit on their ass. They are both claiming this is a giant problem. Trump's claiming it's the #1 problem, and they're both saying, well, to be fair to Biden, he would now like to do Trump's plan. So he would like to solve it through what Trump proposed earlier, which I think is kind of pathetic, but okay, at least he's proposing a fix. And Trump is saying, don't even do my plan because I want it to fester and be a giant problem for America so that I could pretend Biden was doing it.
For America,
and in the beginning, by the way, before he didn't have to pretend, it was Biden's fault. But now Trump is taking it on and saying, yeah, I want it to get worse so I could unfairly blame him when I'm the one who blocked the legislation. So that's who Trump is. He's a disgusting human being. And Biden is now saying, please, can I do the disgusting person's plan?
And by the way, I should also note that as we shared with you just last week, Biden is planning on carrying out an executive order that would allow for him to shut the border down if the amount of migrants crossing the border hits a certain threshold. We don't know exactly what that threshold is going to be. The announcement is going to be made after June 2nd, following Mexico's presidential election. But now you're deciding to do an executive order.
Yeah,
it just to me, guys, it communicates or it messages to the American people that he does not have control of the border and doesn't even have control of what's happening in our own country. And at the same time, I mean, how much of our resources are getting sent abroad to wars abroad, including Israel's genocide in Gaza?
Yeah, I mean, look, come on. Both the Republicans and Democrats gleefully just sent Israel. And by the way, when you include, I mean, they sent Israel and at least $20 billion. When you include Ukraine and everything else, they sent them $90 billion, and they won't send a nickel to help on the border. And that includes all of the Republicans. They're like, don't help the border. I want more immigrants to come in. Political cause for us. Yeah, they don't care about you at all. So it's just disgusting what they've done. Lastly, guys, when you see these immigration waves, so they spike like crazy in December and the months around then, and now all of a sudden they drop by 50%. Did we change a single policy in that time? No. What does that tell you? A huge percentage of why we have those influxes is because of what's happening in their home countries. The reason we had a giant wave was because of the collapse of Venezuela. So Venezuelans and the neighboring countries that affected them as well, they came in a huge surge to the border, right? Meanwhile, my plan was do a Marshall Plan in Latin America so you stop the actual problem instead of constantly trying to put a Band-Aid on it, right? Did Biden push for that? No, of course not. He never pushes for anything. He's a lump on a log. So he just sat there and let the problem fester instead. And now goes, please, Trump, let me do your plan. So just our politicians are pathetic. No problem ever gets solved unless it's a tax cut for the rich, in which case it passes right away, or the defense contractors are gonna get money. Then it also passes right away. Thanks for watching The Young Turks, really appreciate it. Another way to show support is through YouTube memberships. You'll get to interact with us more. There's live chat emojis, badges. You've got emojis of me, Anna, John, JR. So those are super fun. But you also get playback of our exclusive member-only shows and specials right after they air. So all of that, all you gotta do is click that join button right underneath the video. Thank you.